Hi. Okay, today for the workout, we are going to need a patch of wall. I'm going to have you start out leaning back against it. And so that you feel stable for what we're about to do, set yourself up with your feet about 1.5 to 2 feet away from the wall, which will force you to lean back into it. Now let's take a second to sense our posture. So look down at your feet. So you've got that parallel alignment, feet about hip width apart. And I want you to put the tiniest bend in your knees just so they don't feel locked while we're ignoring your legs for a second. When we're establishing our vertical posture, just for walking around the world, we want to line up with our pelvis, our rib cage, and our head, the three big bony masses of our torso stacked up. So when we're using the wall, it's great feedback against the back of your body to sense if you're doing that. So at the pelvis, the sacrum is the little triangle bone, is going to be against the wall. And if you want to assess it from the front, you can make a triangle with your hands. Point your fingertips down to your pubic bone and the heels of your hands right on the hip bones, like where they taper off in the front. And you could explore rocking your pelvis here. When I tilt the pelvis, which you'll see is kind of like jutting my pubic bone out, that pushes my low back against the wall. And then when I let my pubic bone hang back down so that the pubic bone and the hip bones are all in the same vertical plane, it brings the natural curve into my low back. So try that a few times with me. Just tilt to a flat back and then let the pubic bone sink back down till you feel like you're against the full sacrum again. So I'm going to tilt. Now it just feels like I'm at the top of my sacrum and then back to neutral. One more time. Tilting and then releasing. Okay, so that's your alignment of the pelvis. There's a little forward curvature in your low back. And then as I align the rib cage, the ribs should all be against the wall, neck's not touching the wall. And if I press my head gently back, I'm looking forward. Now, if you have a very forward head in your normal posture, that might feel uncomfortable, so just get as close as you can. All right, you're going to laugh at me now because the very first thing we're going to do is to roll you off the wall. So make your posture perfect so we can mess it up. Let your arms hang by your sides. I want you to start out taking a nice deep breath in. Try to focus the air into the back and the sides of your rib cage. Now as you exhale, drop your chin and start to curl your upper spine off the wall. I want you to let your arms hang down as you round your spine. Your pelvis will tilt, but I want you to keep your pelvis touching the wall. I'm kind of like sliding down, so it's my butt. Now you're going to stay there for a breath in at the bottom. And when you exhale, you're going to roll back up. I noticed recently that whenever I say butt, I say it in a weird voice. Like, I don't know why I can't say butt like a normal person. Inhale at the top. Exhale, drop your chin, curl forward. Now, as you're rounding your spine, try to sense one bone at a time coming off the wall. And at the bottom, pretend you are hanging over railings so you've got support in your abdomen while everything else is nice and loose. Stay there, take another breath in. And then as you exhale, start to roll back up. Try to use the force of your breath to compress your abs. Stack each bone of the spine. When you get to the top, we've got those 3 landmarks stacked up. Just one more time. Inhale at the top. Now drop your chin, start to curl forward, flex over your legs. Try to release tension out of your neck and shoulders as you move. One more breath in to stay at the bottom. And then roll back up on your exhale, lifting a bone at a time till you're back in your neutral starting position. All right, now hips, ribs, head still against the wall. I want you to take your arms off the wall and make a genie arms. If that's not comfortable, just cross them there. All right, we're going to do a squat. I want you to slide down the wall, trying to lower yourself till your hips are about the height of your knees, and then press yourself back up. So if you're familiar with reformer work, this will feel in some ways like doing footwork where you're laying on your back and the carriage is gliding back and forth as you straighten and bend your knees. And just like when we're there, this is really simulating the heels on the bar position. So when you push up to straight legs, try to drive the force through your heels, get those knees fully extended, and come back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. And this is letting us warm up the major muscles of the legs while we keep our focus on stabilizing the torso as you go up and down. So the exhale force compresses the abs as I stand. The inhale expands the back and the sides of the ribs. And then I'm just going to come up one more time to make a transition. So if you're comfortable where you had your feet, I want you to walk them in about a toe close, big toe closer to you. Now, come on back down into that squat, but be Not quite as low. Keep your hips a little higher than your knees because we're going to transition to a lifted heel. I want you to keep your heels lifted and go back to going up and down. Same breathing rhythm as before. This simulates our high half toe position again for use to reformer. You're going to exhale as you push yourself up. Inhale back down. When we add the lift of the heels to this movement, you should notice more work in your calves, stabilizing your ankles and leaving them up, but pretty much the same work in your quads, little less in your glutes, just because we've shifted the focus. 3 more times. And 2. Now this one, we're going to end on the down. Now you're going to stay in this kind of chair shape, and I'd like you to lower your heels and lift them back up. Inhale, drop them. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. So we're going to stay here for 7 more of these. If you're already feeling tired, just go up a little higher, and that'll relieve some of the pressure in your quads. This is a calf exercise, but really the quads feel it the most because they're the muscles supporting you in this wall sit you're doing. Let's go for 4 and 3, 2, and 1. I want you to finish with your heels down, push yourself back up. All right, quick shaky of your legs. Have you bend your knees again, but now like a quarter of the way. All right, so you got something fresh for your quads. Next exercise, you're going to place your arms against the wall. I call this a short snow angel. So we're going to do wings, just stumpy ones. Once you place your arms there, let's get a little more specific. I want you to sense your shoulder blades and try to press them flat against the wall and your ribcage. Then, while your shoulder blades stay against the wall, try to push your elbow points into the wall as well. Without losing those, try to place your wrists against the wall. This is where things start to get tricky. Now, you're going to try to place all your fingers against the wall. And if you have any tightness in the front of your body, your chest, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, something is going to lose contact. Like maybe see my wrist has popped up a little. So I'm just going to move around. I'm going to try to push my wrist down. And now that's making my shoulder come off a little. So I'm going to try to push that down. You get the idea? All right, you're just going to keep fussing with a combination of contracting and relaxing at the same time. So we practice working the back of our body, letting go of tension in the front of the body until we get a good solid connection. All right. Now, remember I do this all the time. So if yours isn't perfect yet, don't worry. We're going to try to keep all these points flat, and you're going to make slow snow angel shapes. I love doing snow angels in July. As you bring your arms up and down, you should be able to sense all the muscles around your shoulder blades as kind of the highlight, the target of this exercise. The muscles around your shoulder blades usually are working in a couple because your shoulder blades lay on your rib cage without any real good joint attachment to hold them in place. So we rely on pairings of muscles, both to stabilize the shoulder blades, but also to help them move in all the different ranges that they can go in. So while we just constantly adjust for all 8 points I mentioned, 4 on each arm, staying flat against the wall, you're helping the dynamic stability of your shoulder blades, letting them practice working in that coupling as they go through this big range of motion. By the way, this is the last one, if you were wondering. And then finish on the down. Okay. When you take yourself off the wall, just do a little shake out of the arms. Okay. Now I'm going to turn you around and you're going to face the wall. We're going to do a small isolation of your shoulder blades to get a little more glide in them, where that last one was about stability. And then we'll do some wall push-ups. So for the first motion, arms are at chest height, and this is going to be pretty small. What you'll see moving is the whole line of my body more than where the action really is. And that will be pinching the shoulder blades together and then spreading them apart. As I draw the shoulder blades closer together, my chest has to lean forward to the wall, towards the wall. And then when I push away from the wall, the ribs shift backwards, which will spread the shoulder blades apart. So I'm going to do an inhale as the shoulder blades come closer, and an exhale as I spread them. Inhale, closer. Exhale, spread apart. One more time, drawing them closer. and then spreading them apart. Now, if you laughed at the idea of a wall push-up like it is beneath you, lean backwards like this. If you work on an incline, this will still be plenty of work when you actually go to bend and straighten the elbows. You might also find if you're leaning back a lot, you want your hands a little bit lower because it gets harder than you expected. I'm going to go back up to here for a sec, at least to start the set. Okay, when you breathe in, you're going to bend your elbows, let your body lean into the wall. You might have to lift your heels up to get the range you want, and exhale to push away. Inhale as you bend the elbows. Exhale, tighten your abs so you're supporting from the core when you push out. There are two things that are important going on in any push-up. The obvious one is the arm work, right? That I'm actually using the muscles in my arms and shoulders that push. But I'm also working on isometrically keeping a neutral line through the rest of my body so I'm moving like a plank as I go forward and back. I'm going to have you keep going. We're going to do 4 more. I'm just going to switch to farther away so you can see what that looks like. Sorry, I forgot I needed to give a visual for that. Exhale, press. Last 2. And 1 more time. Okay. If you'd walked your feet out, adjust back in so you're just in standing, arms at chest height. We're going to hit another type of squat. I want you to leave your hands where they are on the wall. You're going to sit back with your hips, going into your squat, and letting your body change in relation to where you've posed your arms. So now you'll see when I'm down in the squat, my arms are in line with my ears. My gaze is at the wall, but much lower than my hands, like closer to the baseboard, and my weight's in my heels, and then I'm going to come back up. Your arms do not have to stay perfectly straight, but if you can keep them straight and let your weight go away from the wall to accommodate that part of the motion, you will be using this to get a stretch in your lats, that big muscle group that runs from your low back all the way up to your shoulders. Let's do that 3 more times. This variation of a squat is one I use frequently with clients that are working towards going down to those deep squats like that you would use, to garden. And for a lot of people, limitations, not just in their lower body, but also in their back, hold them back from some of that range of motion. So that's a great place to start. Okay, we're going to head down to the ground. I want you to go into kneeling on your hands and knees now. And when you arrive there, spread your fingertips apart nice and wide on the mat. The small skill we did of pinching and spreading your shoulder blades should feel pretty much the same here as you're pushing and pulling yourself away from the floor. The reason I'd like to double back and do that again is a lot of people have trouble with being on their wrists. It causes pressure, it causes pain. And I want you to notice what happens to your wrists as you go through this motion. Now, since it's small, you can start with your weight set back a little bit so it's not a lot of pressure on your wrists. Let's go into that pinching the shoulder blades together moment. So I let my chest sink a little bit. Shoulder blades are pinched. Now, without changing that, can you push yourself away from the floor so your hands feel lighter? And if you can't sense how to do that, push your weight into your knees. Just lean back a little bit. Now, press away from the floor and spread your blades and try to come back into the retraction without dropping all your weight into your wrists. When I sense trying to push myself away from the floor, as if I was trying to keep the weight in my legs and off my arms, it shifts the whole focus of the exercise where I'm no longer bearing the pressure in the wrists alone, but instead I'm maximizing how I'm using the whole hand. So these widespread fingers are really helpful. And when I'm pushing now, I'm pressing into the fingertips, which keeps the wrists light. 1 more time. And then return. Okay, so that's the next motion. We're just going to be moving your pelvis. So I want you to find a place where you're okay on your wrists. It's fine to execute it this far back if that's how much support you need. Okay. We're going to move your pelvis in a couple different directions. First, I want you to just feel a little swing side to side. Right, it's just a lateral swing of the pelvis. Sometimes it's referred to as a hip hike, depending on how we are using it. Then, starting a cat stretch would be flexing the spine and extending the spine. Just to be clear, I'm not going through a full cat stretch right now, just kind of wagging, that's not a word, waving, rolling, whatever, my pelvis back and forth. I don't know what word I was looking for, which starts the flexion of my spine. I'm just not finishing it off. Okay, now I want you to play around with making a full circle. So I'm combining the elements of flexion extension and that lateral sway of the hips to move in a circle. And however big you could make this circle, I want you to stay a little bit off the edges, like a 90% circumference, so that you can feel how the abdominal muscles and your back muscles, let's go the other direction now, work together to push and pull your body through this circle. How are your arms doing? If you feel like you're starting to feel a little burden in your arms, you can push into the fingertips more and try to press yourself away from the floor again. Let's do that 3 more times. And 2, and 1. All right, before we get off this position, I'm going to have you reach under. We're going to do a thread the needle twist and then come back to the middle. So now you can see I'm sitting way back with my hips. I'm trying to avoid sitting on the heels, but instead shifting with the sit bones up. And we're just going to go back and forth. 1 more time each way. And then back to the middle. All right, let's head down onto your back. So the very beginning of the workout, if you could remember, so long ago, we rocked your pelvis back and forth between neutral and imprint, although I don't think I called it that. In the next exercise, we're going to try to keep a pelvic tilt, stay in imprint, to do a set of toe taps. I'm going to lift my arms up so you can see what's happening in the exercise, but you can just leave your arms resting by your sides. So what I want you to watch for is on the pelvic tilt, I'm going to tip my pubic bone up slightly. That shortens my oblique abdominals and lengthens so it gets rid of some of the curve in my low back. In this position, I can rely on my obliques as the primary stabilizing muscle to avoid getting tension in my low back. All right, so again, hey, if you want to do your arms like this with me, it makes it harder. So this is a little more stable, a little more challenging. Okay, when you exhale, you're going to rock into that imprint, and I want you to hold it. Now, as you breathe in, lift one leg into tabletop position. And then when you exhale, deepen the connection with your imprint and bring up your second leg as well. Now, let's hold this for a breath in. When you exhale, lower one leg and tap your toes on the mat. And then as you inhale, lift that leg back up. When you exhale, lower your other leg while you're deepening the compression of your abs. Inhale to lift back up. Exhale as you tap down, and inhale, lift. Exhale to lower. Let's keep alternating in that rhythm, but I want you to start your breath before the movement begins. So we're developing that habit of the breath helping us contain in the core and then go into motion. That way we get the deepest layer of the abdominals supporting you underneath the obliques that I was talking about. We have compression, and then the force of your obliques, we're going to do one more on each side, is that tightness, that elastic tightness I described, like the suspenders, keeping the space between the ribs and hips short. Now go ahead and lay your first leg down and then your second leg down. All right, bring your hands behind your head, angle your elbows up slightly so your arms are cradling your head. We're going to go into the ab prep. First a set just working the upper body, then putting it together with those toe taps we just practiced. With your pelvis, rock it a couple times again, showing me that flat back, and then your neutral position with a curve under your spine. So we go to a flatter back, bring the curve in one more time, and then I want you to go back to neutral. And on this first set of crunches, try to maintain that slight forward curve in the low back. All right, you're going to take an inhale breath to prepare. As you exhale, tip your chin down, curl your head and shoulders off the mat, and gaze at your legs. Stay there, take a breath in. When you exhale, you're going to lower back down. And again, breathe in, start the motion by slightly tipping the chin down. Let that lead right into curling the head and shoulders off till you're at the base of the shoulder blades. Hold here, breathe in again, and exhale to lower back down. Inhale at the bottom, start to nod the chin, curl up on the exhale, using your breath to slide the ribs towards the hips. Stay here, take a nice wide inhale into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, compress your abs, lower yourself down. Inhale, tip the chin down slightly. Exhale, curl forward and gaze at the legs. Hold here, breathe in, and exhale as you return. Inhale, tip your chin down. Exhale, compress the abs, flex forward. Here you might notice the shoulder blades spreading a little. Hold to breathe in. Exhale, lower down. Let's do one more rep and stay in it a little longer for more endurance. Inhale, tip your chin down slightly. Exhale, flex forward, gaze at your legs. Hold here. Take your breath in and try to channel it into the back and the sides of the ribs. Stay for another exhale, and I want you to slide the ribs a little closer to the hips. And again, nice big breath in. Stay for one more exhale. Compress the abs. Relax tension out of your shoulders. Last inhale breath to stay. And then exhale as you lower. All right, rock back into imprint where your low back was a little flatter. Lift up one leg and then the other back to tabletop. You're going to do your crunch and your toe tap at the same time. So we're going to do our crunches on a 2 breath pattern instead of 4. On the next exhale, nod your chin, curl up your head and shoulder, and tap one foot down. Inhale, lift your head up, lower your head, lift your leg, I meant. Exhale, crunch forward, lower your leg down. Inhale as you return. Exhale, curl up and tap. Inhale to lower, and exhale, round forward. Inhale down. Let's do one more on each side this way. Exhale, flex up. Inhale, return, and exhale, curl up. Inhale, lower. All right, pat your head, rub your stomach. Now, we're going to do a crunch. I'm going to reverse this patterning. Go into a crunch first. Now I want you to do your toe tap while you lower your head, and you're going to lift your head while you bring the leg back up. So we're going to do an exhale, take the head down, tap your toes. Inhale, lift the head and the leg. Exhale, tap your toes down, control dropping the head. Inhale, lift, and exhale, tap down. Inhale up, just one more on each side. Sorry, I might cut out. This should be remarkably harder than the first one. Let's lower your head, take that first foot down, and then the second. That's all you missed when I might cut out. That's what I was saying. All right, I want you to flip over onto your stomach. And we're going to make a big X with your body. So arms overhead, a little wider than shoulder width. Legs about hip width apart with your toes turned out. And I want you to begin, we're going to hover your upper body. So to do that, just press into your hands and push your upper body just an inch or two off the mat. Goal number 1, stay and hover. We're going to lift up your opposite arm and leg. As you exhale, keep one leg straight, pick it up off the mat, and at the same time, we're going to take that opposite arm up. Inhale to lower. So it's not a huge movement. You're lifting up a lot of load. We're going to keep switching the combination of arm and leg. So the amount of weight I'm lifting is a good amount, 2 of your limbs. But the height's going to be small because I want to focus just on the transfer of having the support of the ground to stabilizing my torso with those 2 limbs in the air. This is a preparatory exercise to an intermediate one we call swimming. And at this level, while you're squaring off your hips and shoulders to the floor and just isolating the limbs like this, it's helping to integrate lower and upper body, getting your hip extensor muscles working with the muscles that flex your shoulder. Do one more on the other side and lower back down. All right, so we got that coordination and the talking, left, right, up, down. Now let's try a superhero where we lift all 4 limbs. Since that's going to be a lot more weight, I really encourage you to keep your hover low. You're going to take an inhale breath to prepare. When you exhale, draw the abs in away from the mat, and then as you finish the breath, take all 4 limbs off the mat, and then inhale to lower them down. Let's do that 3 more times. Take your time with it. Exhale, pull your abs in, and then reach up and away with the arms and legs. Feel like a superhero, and lower back down. Exhale, compress your abs, reach out. Inhale to return. One more time like that. Exhale, lift and reach. Inhale, lower. Now we're going to try to swim, but a slower variation than the intermediate exercise if you're familiar with it. So we begin in the hover with all 4 limbs up. Let's take another exhale breath, reach out and up into superhero. Now you're going to lower one opposite arm and leg as you lift the other and then switch back. So you're going to inhale for 2 and exhale for 2. Breathe into your back, but when you exhale, reinforce that ab tightness. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. 2 more full breaths. Exhale, exhale. Last one. And exhale, exhale. So reach it all out. Lower it back down. All right, from here, I want you to sit back onto your heels into the shell stretch. We're going to round the spine and just go into a bowing position with your arms. All right, stay here. Take a nice big breath into your back. Hold for another exhale, drawing your abs in deeper and releasing your neck and your shoulders. Take one more breath in to stay. And then exhale, roll yourself back up to sitting. Okay. From here, we're going to sit, and I'll turn towards you in a second, but you want to sit either with your legs crossed, or if that's not comfortable, you could sit with your legs out in front of you at the shallow bend. You want to make sure you can get right up on your sit bones in your starting position, and like the vertical we were practicing before, pelvis, ribs, head stacked up. All right, this is actually, I want to make the eye contact, but I want you to see the side of my body. We're going to go into a spine twist. When you exhale, I want you to rotate to the side and just see what the natural amount of rotation you have is in your spine. My arms are going to come with me, and I'm going to look towards the back hand and then return to center. Let's try one to the other side. Exhale as you rotate, looking to the back hand. Inhale back to center. Do one more to each side, nice and smooth as you twist, just to assess how far you turn and see what you gaze towards and then return. Now, normally the exercise has 3 pulses, so let's play with those pulses and see if they do help you get deeper into the twist. You're going to take an inhale, grow tall through your spine. On your exhale, rotate for 3, grow a little taller, then 2, little taller, then 1. Big inhale back to center. Other side, rotate for 3, taller and 2, taller and 1. Inhale back to center. Exhale as you rotate, little deeper 2 and further for 3. Big inhale to the center and exhale to twist. Ring it out 2 and further for 3. I'm going to add one more element. Bend your back elbow, pressing it back each time you pulse. Further for 3. Big inhale to center. And again, press it 3. Deeper for 2 and further for 1. Big inhale to center. One more each side. Twist, ring it out 2 and further for 3. Inhale back to center. Last time, 3 and 2, further for 1 and back to center. Let your arms relax back down. All right, same position you had your legs in. You don't have to switch. I'm just going to switch to this one so you can see both ways. Arms relaxed by your side. We're going to take a small side bend. You're going to lift one arm and then just bend to the side. Come on back up. Lower that arm. So it's going to be exhale, lift the arm, side bend. Inhale, return to vertical, drop the arm. Exhale, arm goes up, you pour yourself over. Inhale to lift and lower that arm. And exhale, up and over. Inhale, lift. Let's do one more to each side. Side bend. And inhale up. And exhale over. And inhale up. All right. We're going to finish standing again. And I want to take you back to the wall. This time we're going to do, a little more free motion compared to the warm-up. I'm going to use this wall just so you see what my back looks like a little bit more. We're going to take the same position we did for the push-ups, hands on the wall as a starting position. But now I'm going to have you move freely against the wall, emphasizing different pushes and pulls to find natural stretches in your body without direction. So I'm going to be kind of oversimplifying this, but this is called pandiculation. When you're doing a self-guided stretch to figure out what needs to be stretched, and it's using full body sensations so we can reset your whole nervous system. And this is really, really nice for your fascia, the connective tissue throughout your body. All right, so I'm going to start facing the wall again. And I'm going to begin with a little bend in my knees, just so there's some give to the body. When you feel stable, pressing away from the wall with your hands and away from your feet, I want you to begin with a small micro motion. You can pick any one body part, although let me give you a direction here. How about your right shoulder? I want you to explore small motions you can make with your right shoulder. And as you're like wiggling and jiggling this one area of your body, you will notice immediately that you're moving other parts of your body. To get your shoulder blade and your shoulder to have free motion while your hand is on the wall, I have to shift around and play with the rest of my body to give it options and potential for motion. I'm still focused on my shoulder, but now I'm making the motion a little bigger, and you'll see I have to rely on my legs and my spine changing to keep finding different ways to move. Now, if we stay focused on the right shoulder, keep that arm on the wall, but now take your left arm off. The right hand is the only thing that has to stay fixed right now. You can move either or both of your legs. And as you move the rest of your body around this fixed point, you'll find these moments where you find unique stretches for the shoulder itself. But in your exploration, I'm sure you've already noticed maybe stretches for your hips or for your back. Now, let's take the attention, go back to both hands on the wall. Let's go to your left shoulder. This practice, if you're new to it, I wanted these foundational videos to bring up all the concepts we use at the studio at different times. And I'm a big fan of these figure out your own stretch kind of movements. But if you have time to play with this longer than the video, since this is just your cool down, you can do this exercise anywhere, pretty much in any position. Go ahead and switch to taking your right hand off. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. I just picked the shoulder arbitrarily. It's not even because we've been working on your shoulders. You could pick your nose. You could pick your belly button. You could put your left knee. It doesn't really matter what. I just want your consciousness to be somewhere you intend it to be. And if we imagine one point of your body as a pivot, you're doing dual awareness all the time, shifting your attention between the intended target, in this case the shoulder, but then also just being curious and observing where else you feel your body once you start doing this kind of exploration. All right, so I'm going to call quits for today because I'm sure we're at time. Yeah, we're at time. But feel free to take that on for another 5 minutes or so and have some fun exploring movement. Have a great day.